Hey there friends! After the previous episode, I just couldn't help myself and immediately had to continue building on the Grand Safari. Standing here, looking past the cheetahs, we get our first teaser of the first section of Savannah. Of course, to see it better, we need to get into one of these jeeps and get a closer look. Or why not try to, for an extra fee of course, visit the giraffes up close for a feeding session? That's right. This habitat features 3 majestic animals that roam the African grasslands: the Giraffes zebra, the giraffe, and the blue wildebeest. In this speed build, I will show you how this atmospheric, grassy build came together. Join me. So the first step was to hide the moat between the cheetahs and the savannah. And well, for that, of course, I need to create something sort of realistic that would separate these predators and these prey animals, and to make sure that it is not visible, or at least is very subtle from both sides. So we make sure to check the view lines from both sides, and then we create this retaining wall, which is for 90% of your visit is invisible, and we also create that retaining wall at the other side, which would keep the dirt and then the earth to keep it from falling into the moat. And that is pretty much it. In terms of realism, there's not much to it, right? But we add some rock planning to the bottom to make it look a bit different, but that is pretty much it. And yeah, I sort of tread the line here between realism and complete fantasy, because I also have no real way to keep the giraffe and the wildebeest and the zebra out of inside this habitat. I mean, I'm just making use of some dumb hitbox tricks to make sure they can get out of here. In all actuality, this is a complete mess, and they would escape within the first 20 minutes of entering this habitat. But at the other end, we create this log wall. We make sure that it looks asymmetrical by changing it in height, changing it in position. Then we take a couple of them, make them a bit crooked, so that the whole log wall looks organic and looks fun. And then we add some simple plants to the bottom to make sure it feels connected to the surface. And we just build a big line that will follow the track ride, which is for the most part under the terrain. I didn't use all the keeper like the gates that transports need to go through. Again, I'm going to use just simple things like elephant grass and other tricks to make sure animals don't escape. What you saw there is sort of a bonus habitat that I will show you at the end. I didn't record anything for that because it's very basic and simple. And then we start doing the whole barrier around it. And then, just because I think it looks cool, because sometimes you need to try and go for realism, we make sure that the animals cannot climb these rocks, and we add a beautiful little electric fence, just a small one, just for the vibes, right? And then we also add one that would sort of act as a separation of the Jeep ride building and the habitat. So we make sure it looks like there's a fence protecting you, even though there's no gate. Also, Frontier, you need to explain to me why I can't place any construction piece over the Jeep ride, but I can place construction pieces over paths. Explain that to me. Building the shelter here, the challenge here was to make sure that giraffes could enter it, and that's pretty much the only challenge. There's a whole ugly construction there with a tunnel underground and an ugly thing that I will all build off screen. I didn't build the inside of this at all. No thought went into it whatsoever. I just needed to make sure that the giraffe could get into this building, and that was it. So it's another ugly shelter that I, at least on the inside, took the liberty of not doing any work. The outside is sort of okay, could be better in terms of theming perhaps, but on the outside this building looks passable. On the inside, please don't look at it. Look away. It is it's just basic ground and some leaves on it for them to sleep. That's sort of tradition here in Bollo Bollo. We pay no mind to what is inside the shelter of the animals. That is the creed of this place. So yes, the giraffes can enter the building, so we're gonna add a roof on it. Same thatch roof. Make sure that there's skylights in there so that some light can enter during the day. And this part in the middle is a bit raised and we'll get a flat roof, and that's about it. That's about all the thought that I put into this. So yeah, finishing this off with all the necessary glass house pieces. Same on this side, adding all those little triangles, adding a bigger window right here, finishing it up, and that is pretty much it for this shelter building. Final part is adding a roof, flat roof, within the grid, please. There we go. And then some cones, because why not? Because to make it look a bit more interesting from down below. Right. I think it's time for you to meet the cast, so to say. The 3 animals living in this habitat. The blue wildebeest is one of 2 species of wildebeest. They are a broad-shouldered, muscular antelope with a distinctive face, a distinctive muzzle. It forms large herds on short grass plains in southern and eastern Africa, and they're known to go on long-distance migration in these huge groups that walk and cross rivers and cross plains. And they are just a very widespread species. They are considered of least concern. They are doing very well with a population of around 1.5 million. Good on them. Of course, in my mind, the wildebeest always had a bad reputation for me because they're like the animal that was responsible for the death of Mufasa, and I just couldn't forgive them for a while. But yeah, they are a distinctive, iconic African species, and just in any nature documentary, they are in Africa. They are. I think I've seen more wildebeest die than any other creature on this earth at the hands of hyenas and leopards and lions and the like. There's another animal in here. It is the Giraffes zebra, a modded animal by Yellow Pangolin. This beautiful mod, first of all, beautiful mod, very stunning. But this beautiful animal, all the same, is the largest of the 3 species of zebra, the largest living wild horse, in fact, and the most threatened of the 3 species of zebra. They live in Kenya and in Ethiopia, in small herds where they graze the grasslands. Their population has declined from 15,000 to 2,000 in the last 50 years. So another depressing fact about the wildlife of the world there. If it's any consolation, the other zebra species are faring better, though those numbers still sound frightfully low if you ask me. It's always disconcerting to realize that those animals that we sort of revere and worship as the animals, the African animals, when you look at the numbers, they are ridiculous. You couldn't fill you couldn't fill a football stadium with the number of Giraffes zebras in the world, right? Same goes for this next animal. There is actually 2 giraffes in here, representing 2 species of giraffe. First of all, there is the reticulated giraffe, which has been present in the game since launch, and there is the Maasai giraffe, which is a collaboration by the modders Leaf, Nicholas Linerider, and Narwhaler. In fact, there's a third giraffe mod out there for the Rothschild's giraffe, made by Narwhaler. And that's also in my zoo, in a habitat that you have never seen, because it kinda sucks. Giraffes are the tallest living terrestrial animal, with a scattered range across its subspecies from sub-Saharan Africa to eastern to southern Africa. They live in herds that browse trees that only they can reach for leaves, fruits and flowers. They are a vulnerable species. Approximately 98,000 of them can be found in the wild, and this is where the stadium can be applicable. If you take all of the wild giraffes in the world and you all assign them a seat in Barcelona's football stadium, they fill that stadium and that's it. All the giraffes in the world are there. That is a low number, guys. Animal conservation education first of all, conservation next of all, is so important. We talk about all that's wrong in the world in such a strange way. We talk about matters of culture. We talk about matters of what entertainment should be worthy of your time and what isn't. All trivial things. And if you look at what politicians are talking about, it's about money, it's about where to invest in stuff, but talking about the planet is sort of uncool. It's sort of like what sissies do, right? It's what weak people do, being worried about the planet, being worried about ecology. But literally, we are on a planet. We are literally on a planet, even though humanity has sort of distanced itself from that and feels more above it and feels more like we're in tune with concrete and metal and steel and binary numbers and computers. We literally are living on a round sphere that is the planet, and the planet, the systems of that planet, the ecology, is a delicate balance where everything that exists plays a part. And if parts of that system collapse, the whole system collapses. And that is just something that talking about this is sort of uncool these days. But really, guys, humanity is solely responsible for the extinction of thousands and thousands of species of animals, let alone the most famous ones. And that is just something that worries me, and is something that I want to talk to you about in every video that I do about wildlife, because it is essential to me that at least someone gets the message and starts to care about preserving animals more. So yeah, that's just a message, a heartfelt message that I want to convey, and that is that the world and the wildlife on it matters, and if we don't take care of it more, then we will see these animals only in captivity, and that's just a sad thing to consider, that we spend decades, centuries of our time making statues and sculptures and revering an animal like the lion, but we don't take care to actually preserve its natural habitat, and that is just something to consider. Same goes for the discussion about the giant panda, where you hear people going, they should go extinct because they suck, because they don't know how to take care of themselves. Pandas were doing just fine. Pandas had their very specific niche carved out, and it was the perfect niche. They lived in forests of bamboo, and they ate bamboo, and no one ate them. Perfect. A perfect life. And then we came along and we ruined everything for them, and now we look at them as like bumbling, stupid fools who eat dumb food and can barely take care of themselves. No, they were doing just fine until we came along. Right? So the same goes for all animals. They can't keep up with our crazy accelerated evolution as a society, so they suffer. And even though, it's our responsibility ethically, I feel, to take care of them. That's just how I feel. Anyway, I'm building the giraffe feeding platform now. First time in a long time where I built something like this, like a really guest-focused prop collection. You will see me adding a whole bunch of stuff like crates and food. I don't think all of the food is not necessarily aimed at the giraffes, but nonetheless it feels like this is a place where if you probably paid a little bit more, or if you reserve the time slot or something, you could go up here, feed the giraffes, and also get a much better close-up view of the savannah there. That is the best view you're gonna get on foot of the savannah. So yeah, we're placing some apples, placing some other props around here. That was a fun little exercise. Also reminded me just in general to do stuff like this more often, because often when I tour a zoo, this is the kind of stuff that stands out to me. The extra care that's taken to the guest experience as well. So maybe if I do another project after Bollo Bollo, that will be the focus. Maybe like a petting zoo or whatever DLC comes out next, that will be the focus. We are coming up after my impassioned plea about wildlife, which I really do care about. At the very end of this speed run, we're going to choose some shades here because I feel like it makes sense if you stand here feeding the giraffes that you don't want to stand in the smoldering heat. So we simply take these banners, we turn them white, we multiply them, and then we add some steel beams to connect them to the floor. And that is pretty much it for the build. In general, I think the secret here was once again just spamming plants. There's not really a secret to what I did. There's not a lot going on in the habitat per se, just plants. Maybe there's too many of them, but in another way you could say maybe there's not enough of them. In the other 3 habitats here, I will experiment a bit with textures and colors and more variation in the habitat design, but there we go. This really turned out well. I like the way that it feels like a lush plain, the buffalo grass, the drin grass, the blue stem grass, it all works together well to create a beautiful plain. Yeah, I think I'm a huge fan of what I did here. In the morning light it looks really good. There's only 2 trees in here. I like the mud plateaus that I built, inspired by the ones I saw in Leaf Safari Park. Their main goal was sort of when you enter the habitat in your Jeep, you don't get the full view of the savannah. It sort of blocks your view so that you need to sort of crane your neck, and also for the when you return here you will see 3 more habitats, or actually 4 more habitats with the Jeep. And then you return, you do one last pass through this habitat, and you get to see a part of this habitat that you had not seen before. So that is the general idea there of blocking your view. So I think those sort of mud banks will make a return elsewhere in this habitat. Here you have the giraffe looking over the cheetah habitat. Ironically, none of the animals in here really are prone to being preyed on by cheetahs. Cheetahs tend to go for animals that are in weight or in size more or less their category, so giraffes don't have a lot to fear. But I was sort of running out of predators to place here. That's simply it. The spotted hyena will get a place in my zoo, of course. I'm still considering placing them either in like the shadows of the lion, which is like a classic thing to sort of denigrate the hyena to be subordinate to the lions, or maybe still connected to the savannah. There's also typical for my Jeep ride is that there's no animal visible, but I wasn't going to re-record it. This is what it looks like if you're in the Jeep and you look to your left. You can, on a better day, you can see 6 of these wildebeest and 3 of those zebra. And then you're going to head through this stone arch, and then you'll see what comes next. I'll tell you when I get there. This is the habitat for the very unique animal. I don't have a speed build for this. This is the Gerenuk. They are an antelope known for their tall neck. They are sort of giraffe-like in the sense that they've evolved to reach higher parts of plants and bushes and trees. They can even stand on 2 legs to really reach those high places. A really funky looking animal. So they get this sort of more private, secluded habitat with those wooden poles surrounding it. And here is a up-close look of the giraffe feeding. So the people head up there. On foot to your left you can see you get a very exclusive, good view of the savannah there. But of course, this is where you would stand, you would be instructed about how to feed the giraffes, you'd be educated about their habits, their diet, and also you get a good view of their feeding stand there. And here is one of our 2 beautiful giraffes. He probably sees us standing here, maybe he gets a call from one of the zookeepers, because in a few seconds he's going to come running because he has heard that we are about to feed him. And then I seem to recall from the footage he will stand there and sort of start tasting the air. I don't know. So that is where I will leave you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by for another speed build. and another one will come very, very soon. Stay tuned!